Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chicago Works Community Challenge community session for the central region of the city. We're just giving everyone a moment to join, and then we'll kick off with the session. It seems like we have everyone, so I could just start with a quick introduction. My name is Adam Scheimer. I work at the mayor's office on the economic development team and am helping to lead the Chicago Works Community Challenge along with my colleague Leah, who can introduce herself.
Hi, yes. I'm also on the mayor's economic development team working with Adam on the Chicago Works Community Challenge. Just a note, we have interpretation at the bottom of the Zoom screen in Spanish, Mandarin, and Cantonese. So if you would like the session in one of those three languages, please select that option. And we'll also be taking questions throughout the session via the Q&A function at the bottom of the Zoom screen. So if you can include any project-specific or general questions in that Q&A box, that would be great. I'll also be taking a look at the chat, but it is much easier to filter through questions in the Q&A function.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Leah. And the one other thing I'll mention is we're going to start with a presentation that's about 10 minutes, where I'll be walking through an overview of the program, the selection process, and how we sort of reach this stage in the initiative. Then we'll be handing it off to each of the semifinalists, who will give about a 4 to 5 minute presentation each on their proposals, and we'll give all of you a chance to ask them questions specific to their project areas. So if everything goes as planned, we should be finished by around 7 o'clock. So to start with the overview that I mentioned, so we're here to talk about the $10 million community investment initiative that Mayor Lightfoot launched to commemorate her 2-year anniversary in office in May of 2021. The goal of the initiative is to fund 7 projects of up to $1.5 million each, and we'll have 1 project funded in each planning region in the city. We know that many aren't familiar with planning regions, so we have it marked on the right-hand side there. And we're here today to specifically talk about the semifinalists that we've selected in the central region on the right-hand side. So the projects that can be funded fall into 4 categories: either public parks, public libraries, public schools, or residentially zoned city-owned vacant lots. These projects are going to be funded through the Chicago Works Capital Plan, and we've engaged in a pretty rigorous selection process to this point that we'll be going into more detail on in a bit, but it basically comprised a citywide evaluative committee that based reviews on project viability, need, cost, impact, and a few other criteria. The timeline right now is that we're going to fund 7 projects that will be announced in December, so next month. And the goal is to ensure that projects at least break ground, but it'd be great if some are even complete by the end of next year. To go into a bit more detail on the timeline for this initiative, so as you can see, we launched it on June 1st. That's when the application went live. The deadline for applications was on August 30th. During that time, we convened an evaluation committee from across the city who would be tasked with evaluating the various proposals we received. We spent most of September screening those proposals and then evaluating them as a committee, which ultimately led to the city selecting 21 semifinalists, which were announced on October 14th. We had 3 semifinalists in each of the regions for 21 semifinalists total. And as mentioned, we're here to discuss the 3 specific semifinalists for the central region. We're now engaging in a month-long community engagement effort to gather feedback on these proposals. And then we're going to be synthesizing that community-driven feedback over the next few weeks and to ultimately allow us to select those 7 announced projects in December. To go into a bit more detail on the applications we received, over 500 were submitted, but only 239 were vetted as complete and responsive to the initiative. As you can see, we had 48 of 50 wards represented in the applications, which was fantastic. Proposals skewed more towards vacant lots and parks properties, as you can see. In addition, we had more projects submitted from the Southeast, West, and Far South regions that comprised about 60% of completed applications. And we're excited to go through the central applications in particular. One thing to discuss is that since this is going to be funded through the Chicago Works Capital Plan, there's very specific things that can be funded through the program. So eligible costs include infrastructure and brick and mortar expenses. So those are things like playground equipment, park path replacements, library space modernizations. Ineligible costs are things that are more programmatic or equipment-based in nature. So computers, furniture, plantings. We mentioned this just to say that, you know, the 3 semifinalists that we'll be talking through wouldn't have been selected as semifinalists if the vast majority of their proposals weren't composed of eligible costs, but just want to make sure that when we're presenting these ideas to, you know, you, the community, that we're really talking about things that can be funded through this specific initiative rather than other things that will need, you know, additional funding sources. Next, we want to go into a bit more detail on how we scored the application. So the first component of the application review, which comprised 50% of the application score, was from departmental reviewers. So if we received an application for a parks property, we had someone from the Parks District read and score that application. If it was for a schools property, someone from the Chicago Public Schools District read it. So we had subject matter experts actually review for feasibility because these departments are going to be the ones who actually implement these projects. So once we select the 7 projects, since it's on city property, that $1.5 million is going to be allocated to that department to work with the community member who proposed the project to bring it to life. So getting their opinion was of the utmost importance. So the first thing was we confirmed that the property that the project proposal discussed was within the purview of that department and the Community Challenge program. We then asked them to assess financial feasibility. Can this project be completed within budget? So up to $1.5 million. The main purpose here was that if it was a project that could be completed for, let's say, $100,000 or would need $10 million, it likely wasn't of the right order of magnitude for this specific project. But as long as the department said, no, 1.5 million sounds about right, that was what it took to have a high score there. Development feasibility, are there significant barriers to development at this site? The departments know their properties best, so we just wanted to see if there were any barriers potentially that could make, you know, speedy improvements and implementation of this project problematic. The next one was design feasibility. Can the project be completed at this site to meet design excellence goals? Really making sure the project would look and feel exciting and catalytic for the community. Operational feasibility, would the project as described be manageable to maintain from an ongoing operational standpoint? You know, city staff will have to be the ones who maintain these properties, so making sure that they'd have the resources to do so, so the project doesn't then, you know, turn into disrepair soon was something we were focused on. And then lastly, any qualitative comments that would be helpful as the evaluation committee sifted through the applications. The other 50% of the score was comprised from other evaluation committee members who had less of a specific departmental expertise, but more so are engaged with communities or with the budget in a meaningful way. So we had members of the mayor's office, members of the Department of Planning and Development, and a member of the Office of Budget Management read and review the applications for the following criteria. Was the application complete and thorough? Did the applicant provide evidence that they had socialized this project idea with their community for input? Did the applicant make a compelling case for how the space would lead to a broader neighborhood activation? You know, more foot traffic, more excitement, more usage. And then lastly, was there a compelling case that the site would be heavily utilized by the public? And you could see these last 3 things are sort of interconnected. If they received a lot of community input, if there was a lot of excitement, that would generally mean that it would be highly used by the public as well. So now we are going to get into the specific semifinalists for the Central Region. So that's the Martin Luther King Jr. Branch Library, the John Haines Elementary School, and Skinner Park. So, and we're going to go through in that order. Before we get into the specific projects, please post any questions you have in the chat, and we'll make sure to answer those after we talk through the three projects. And a reminder to the presenters that we kindly ask that you keep your presentation to about 5 minutes, you know, in fairness to the other project presenters. So if you are a presenter for the King Branch Library, I'm going to give a brief overview of the proposal, but please raise your hand in the chat and Leah will make you a panelist so you could join to speak to your proposal. So please raise your hand now if you're here from the King Branch Library. But this project, which was submitted by an individual, aims to invest in a safe, engaging, developmentally appropriate early childhood learning and play area within the library. So really enhance that specific space. The goal is to create a modernized, clean, well-stocked early learning area with breastfeeding rooms, quiet rooms for multisensory and neurodivergent needs, which could have a huge positive impact on all, children of all different walks of life. So we'll now welcome the presenters as panelists and hand it over to them to talk through their proposal.
I only see one person right now, Janelle.
I think I saw this. Yeah, if someone else raised your hand, please raise it again, because I think I might have seen.
Yeah, as of right now, there's no one else whose hand is up. So just making sure that Janelle is the only person that should be speaking, which is fine. You don't need to have more. Just want to make sure we have everyone.
Yeah, Janelle, is anyone else planning to join you for the presentation?
I don't think so. I think it might be me unless someone else is volunteering.
Okay, great.
Okay, and you guys will notify me when time is up, or just okay.
Yeah, we'll shoot you a chat message when maybe you should wrap up in a minute or two. But again, no real pressure as long as it's 5, 6 or so minutes.
Okay. Thank you all for your time. Good evening, and yes. So at the very least, I will just speak to the fact that this is a very organic request. We are not backed by any organization or community group. I submitted this proposal as an individual, but really just on behalf of other parents and families in the Douglas area, particularly Bronzeville and the Gap and Idlewild area, through just talking to my neighbors and word of mouth. I'm a mom of a young toddler, and just other friends and other parents that we have just been talking to, just on the playground or at different school areas, about just different places to go to and play dates. And noticed that quite a few of us would travel outside of our neighborhood for libraries, like, for example, the library in the West Loop. It's a beautiful new library, and it's just the one right around the corner from us on Dr. King Drive, named after Dr. King, is just so very outdated. And so this proposal really was a shot in the dark, like, look, hey, if this money is on the table, anything we can get to upgrade this would be so appreciative and just so impactful. I don't know if I can share my screen right now. I'm gonna try.
Yeah, of course, I'll stop sharing mine.
Yes,
Okay.
if you see the green button at the bottom of the screen that says share screen, you should be able to.
Okay.
Let me know if that is not the case.
All right, I think I'm sharing now. Can you guys see the web window? All right, so just taking conversations and feedback from local neighbors and other families, put together a community-led but designed by myself website just to kind of condense some of our thoughts and just to visually kind of present the case, which is any type of renovation. And I cannot stress that enough. Any type of renovation we can get. If we could get, say, a breastfeeding room or some additional rooms in construction like that, or at the very least, and I know that there's some stipulations around computers and things of that nature, but when we say upgrades, we're not just talking about decor, but the decor is the easiest thing to point to, right? I'm focusing on this image right here of some decor on the wall. And as you can see, with our little cheeky language, which is very tongue-in-cheek and a little sarcastic, but speaking from our heart, it's like, yo, come on. We our kids deserve just something a little more modernized. Our families deserve something a little more modernized. And we also think that the foot traffic that would be attracted with an upgrade to this library would absolutely enhance the area, mitigate some less desirable foot traffic that tends to happen around that corner, because it's not very family friendly right now. And that library is really underutilized. And for it to be on King Drive, named after Dr. King, I just think, and I am not the only one in this opinion, that yeah, it deserves a lot more love. It deserves to reflect the respect that the families of this community need to have. Um, I took some photos, and some other residents took some photos to show that, you know, the shelves are a little empty. There's a paint job that looks like it's so outdated. The posters are from like 1980. And overall, if you were to compare this space with other libraries in the city, it's just not very inviting. It's not very engaging. It's just so old. But I will say the librarians of this space are lovely, and they keep it so clean. And so also, it's not just for the families, it's just to also say thanks to the librarians that, you know, put in all that care. And libraries are not outdated institutions. They are not. This proposal focuses on the children's area, but I have to say that just by upgrading the children's area, it will impact the library overall, the corner overall. It's not just toddlers and babies this is for. It's not just for parents of young kids. I think teenagers would have a safer space to, you know, congregate to and hang out at. There's so many families in this neighborhood that could utilize this library. And so, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but you saw earlier in the presentation that library requests in these proposals did not make up a large percent. A lot of people, especially in the South and West sides, and even though we are in the Central region, I know a lot of us consider ourselves Southsiders. I know that a lot of the proposals were asking about vacant lots, justifiably so. But I'm just going to advocate and say, you know, for the few proposals that were requesting a library upgrade, this one absolutely deserves it. I implore anyone and everyone to go there and check it out yourself. You'll know from the first few seconds of walking in, you'll say to yourself, oh my goodness, yes, this library absolutely deserves some love, some upgrade, whatever we can get, we would be appreciative of, and it would absolutely make a great impact. It could be a community gathering space. There's different people who have organizations or work with kids or work with families that I know would love to maybe host some, not just play dates, but just like some little small events there. Let's let our libraries be what they're meant to be, which are hubs for everyone in the community. Whether it's neurodivergent individuals who need a safe space to come and decompress, or it's tired moms of toddlers that need to just pop in and have a little story time. Our taxes pay for this, and we deserve to have something in walking distance of our homes that is comforting and welcoming and of the same quality as other neighborhoods. So that's all I got for now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate the presentation. If anyone has a specific question for Janelle and the King Branch Library proposal, please submit that into the Q&A section now.
So there's one question around artwork and paint qualifying or being bond eligible. I don't know if you have any insights into that.
Yeah, so unfortunately, Leah and I aren't the bond eligibility experts. That's what we have the Office of Budget Management on the selection committee for. What I'd say is that this project was selected as a semifinalist because the things that were highlighted in the proposal are by and large bond eligible, and that would be a lot of the kind of makeover, making the library look and feel different. What we were told is the rule, if you could kind of pick it up and move it, that might not be something that's bond eligible. So I'm not sure that artwork, for example, would qualify. I assume painting might, but we don't want to necessarily give you guys wrong information. So point being that we really think that this space, again, because it was selected as a semifinalist, could really benefit from the funding.
Can I also say too, just to make this even more of a compelling case, things that may not be bond eligible, I have access to, and other members of the community have access to individuals that are willing to step up and meet the needs that the city cannot meet. So for example, I already have a muralist that has reached out to me that has said, you know, if there's any way I can help, I'm down to like paint a mural or help enhance. I think that the arts community and individuals are willing to address some of the decor needs if the city cannot. Now we can have our opinions and discussions about whether or not that should be the case, but I just wanted to state that if certain things like decor or plants or posters are not necessarily covered by this grant, I have it on good faith that there are members of the community that are willing to help fill that gap. So yeah, that's my 2 cents there.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Mhm.
I don't see any other specific questions at the moment. We can maybe give people a few more seconds to submit. Alrighty, looks like we good, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very much appreciate the presentation. We'll move you back into the audience now and move on to the next proposal. So we're now here to discuss the John Haines Elementary School playground renovation. So if you're here to talk through this proposal, please raise your hand now and we will move you into be a panelist. So this project proposal was sponsored by the school itself, and their goal is to improve the playground in the east lot of the school because it needs updating and will make it generally a safer place for the community and children to play. And generally speaking, overall, the structure has deteriorated greatly. So the goal would be to resurface the playground to make it a level and kid-friendly finish, add a walking track around its perimeter, replace the playground equipment, add seating areas for collaboration, and install a section of raised garden beds. So that's the overview of the proposal. We'll now have the actual submitters go into much greater detail. Leah, were you able to find the?
Yeah, sorry. It seems that you all have the same name, so it might be helpful to rename yourselves. But no worries if that's not possible.
Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so maybe feel free to give brief introductions about your role at the school or your role in the proposal, and then dive right into the presentation. Do you have anyone else who should be on here who we haven't been able to add as a presenter yet?
I don't think so. We have Amy, you are showing as Anna Gustinelli as well. And then she's going to start us off for this presentation.
Perfect.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Catherine Amy Moy Davis, proud principal of Haines Elementary School. We also have our assistant principal, Connie Lee, several members of the Haines community, as well as Miss Anna Gustinelli, who actually is the person who is behind the scenes of this grant. So just wanted to give you guys a little bit of information about Haines Elementary School prior to us trying to get a school playground. We are a 27-year-old new school. The school was built 135 years ago. And right now we want to just make sure that we have a place for our students to be able to play outside during recess. We are also a big hub in the community for our playground. And we just want to make sure that with COVID and post-pandemic, we want to make sure that everyone is welcome to come and feel important when they're in the playground. And we just want to continue to be a part of the community. So I'm going to let Ms. Augustinelli take over from here.
Thank you, Ms. Moy Davis. My name is Anna Gustinelli, and I am a teacher at Haines School. I teach 5th grade, and I've been part of the Haines community since 2005. Very happy to be back in the classroom this year. So our our title of our project is Rebuilding Community in Chinatown. And so this playground transformation has been a dream of ours for a while. And we take very seriously the hub that we serve as the community center of Chinatown. So our school is located on 23rd Place, right in between Wentworth Avenue and Princeton. And so we are literally half a block from all the action of the main drag in Chinatown. And our playground over the years has served as a hub for community members, our students and their families to get together for social activities and for exercise and activities that they like to do together. So as Ms. Moy Davis said, our playground was built in 1993, and we've seen over the years since then the needs that we have. And our current space, while it has served us well for almost 3 decades, has definitely had some wear and tear with its age. And so we're looking to create a safe space that will allow for our school community as well as the larger Chinatown community to use the space for various activities. We also feel that this is especially urgent because the COVID-19 pandemic has really hit our neighborhood hard. From businesses closing to families being displaced to dealing with racism and Asian hate following the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. Our sense of community has really taken a hit. And we want to rebuild not only the physical space, but also the safety and the partnership that comes from having this place to congregate and do things that they like to do. So having paid attention to how our community has used the space over the years, we've come up with a plan that we feel will best meet the needs of the community at large. So just to take a look at what it currently looks like, we've had a rain garden that was great for a while, but now has sunken and is hazardous for our students. A lot of our initiatives that have taken place in the past, the materials are simply so old that they are not usable anymore. So we're trying to make those improvements. We have structural needs, some different things that just need some love and care after almost 30 years. So that's our current state. And our goals include having a thoughtful design to allow access, comfort, and convenience for all of our stakeholders. So we've talked to several groups that include parents and students and community members. And, we've just been dreaming a little bit and trying to come up with some different things that would create this space. So we're hoping with the Chicago Works grant that we can get it up to safety standards and the level of sustainability that we're hoping for by resurfacing and creating this safe foundation. And then we have, as a school community, once that huge expense is taken care of, we have partnerships with many local organizations, many community members who are willing to step up to volunteer, to donate, to help with the labor and the upkeep of developing this space for the community. We have good faith with a lot of these organizations and individuals because of the openness that Haines School has provided over the years. We love to include the community. We welcome the community for events on our playground, and we want them to feel safe and secure in coming back together. As more and more of our community becomes vaccinated and feels more comfortable socializing in person, we want to make sure that that space is available for them to do that. So the reason that we feel that our proposal has the sustainability that's needed to make this a really good investment for the city is that shared vision among our school and community stakeholders. We do have, as I mentioned, community volunteers to help maintain things. We have teacher leaders and student leadership that will step up for different initiatives we would love to integrate once we have that foundation set. And we also incorporate our after-school programs into the space to work with murals. We have a fabulous new art teacher, who's up for some adventure with that, and then just maintenance and beautifying the space. We've tried our best with these things over the years, but again, the materials and the surfacing are just outdated. So we need to restore them to what we know they can be. So we have a group, sorry, we have a group of my 5th graders who wanted to share what Haines Park means to them. And what we hope for the future is that these things can be nurtured and grown. So as always, the kids say it best, but these are some of the things that we've been able to provide in the past and that we really want to work toward in creating this safe and nurturing space for all of our students and staff and community members to continue to build that strong community that Haines is the center of. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for listening to our presentation.
Thank you very much. We'll now open it up to questions. So again, if you have any specific questions for the Haines team, please make sure to write it in the Q&A chat now.
I don't see any questions at the moment, but we'll give everyone a couple minutes.
Adam and Nia, can I say one last thing about Haines Elementary School in Chinatown? Just wanted to quote something in today's Sun-Times article that Chicago's Asian population fastest growing in the city is booming south of Chinatown. So as Ann said before, we are a hub and the playground can be utilized during our summer fairs that Chicago always.
I lost the audio briefly. I'm not sure if everyone else did.
Yeah, we're having trouble here. We had trouble hearing the last portion of your remarks there.
It looks like you've become muted, Amy.
So Adam, can you guys hear me now? Is it a little bit better? Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
It's better. Yeah, just the last maybe 10 seconds or so, your comments got cut off.
Yep, just wanted to make sure that, we are just quoting in research from today's Sun-Times about Chicago's Asian population. And so just wanted to make sure that we all know that we are a hub for sports, for our Olympics, for anything that the city needs in Chinatown.
Perfect. So I don't see any questions. So thank you very much for your time, Ann, Amy, Connie. Really much appreciate the presentation. We'll send you back into the audience now and move on to the 3rd and final proposal. So the last project we'll be talking through is a park. So we got a nice variety here, library, school, and now park for the Skinner Park community and garden improvements. So yeah, if you'll be presenting, please raise your hand and we'll add you as a panelist now. So this project was submitted by the Skinner Park Advisory Council. It's home to 2 community gardens and a demonstration teaching garden, but both need improvements, in particular ADA accessibility to improve access for seniors. So the details of the proposal was that the scope of the project would make the community gardens ADA accessible first and foremost, and also add new garden beds based on universal design and a greenhouse. So the surrounding sidewalks, in addition, near the park also need to be replaced. So that's, again, the general overview of the project. We're now inviting, I see May and Brian to lead the presentation. Is anyone else going to be joining you? I see one other person might have just raised.
I think Elise is supposed to join us.
Yes, I just promoted Elise.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Okay, hand it over to you. If you have a presentation, happy to stop sharing my screen, but also can keep this up.
Okay, I can share my screen. Thank you. Can everybody see the screen?
Not yet.
Let me know if you're having any trouble. You should be able, if you see that green button at the bottom.
Yeah, I do that. Is that working?
There we go, yes.
Perfect.
Hi. So my name is May Toy. I'm president of Skinner Park Advisory Council. And I'm just gonna quickly go through the screen. So we want to thank everybody. And we're so honored to be here as a semifinalist. All the projects are worthy. And I want to give a lot of explanation of what we are. We're an all-volunteer nonprofit group of neighbors and park patrons. We basically work to improve the park and the community through public spaces and events, and we do it through advisory, advocacy, philanthropic, and volunteerism. Brian, you want to take over? Okay, so, okay, I guess Brian's not on yet. So Skinner Park is in the southwest corner of the West Loop. We're a very densely populated area. You know, there's 20,000 people within a 20-minute walk, and 98% do not have green space. A lot of people come and use Skinner Park. We're very diverse by age group, socioeconomically, race, and ethnicity. Brian?
Hey, May, am I here now?
Yeah, you're here. Okay.
So I moved to Chicago 25 years ago and into the West Loop in 2008. And I've learned so much from May. And to build on what she was just saying, inclusivity is what May has made the Skinner Park Advisory Council all about. And more so, it's even about those that are disenfranchised. There are 4 senior buildings within 3 blocks of Skinner Park. This community keeps growing, but I think May has led us in embracing those that have been here before. Beyond just the seniors, there are a lot of youngsters from Whitney Young, the teenagers, to kids that use the park. So there's been a ton of wear and tear. Now, in looking out for the seniors and addressing the issues of equity, I think one of the great things that I've learned from May and the Skinner Park Advisory Council is leading with data and taking the pulse of the community. And it was what putting out surveys are what led to actually instituting a tranquil garden, which the seniors were very much for. Don't always need interaction, but just a place to get out of the building and enjoy the community when we actually do get some positive weather here in Chicago. Being involved, I've had a chance to meet so many people in the community, namely Elise Denard, who is on the Skinner Park Advisory Council and is a resident in one of the senior living spaces. They help out every year, specifically with Eggstravaganza, putting candy in the eggs for the egg hunts. And Elise, if you're going to say something, I'd love to hand it over to you. And if we're waiting on Elise, I'll keep speaking.
Elise, it seems like you might be on mute still.
All right, Elise, if you get the unmute going, just start talking over me because I think the world of you. The Skinner Park Advisory Council really tries to live accessibility. Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't tap to speak. I'm sorry. Oh, please get that back for me. We're having a. Okay. Okay, great, thanks. My name is Elise Denard, and I live at the Academy Square Senior Building, and it's located 1 block from Skinner Park. I'm chair of the senior committee for the Skinner Park Advisory Council. We have seniors from all senior buildings around Skinner Park on our committee, representing over 1,000 seniors. Now, many seniors are living on fixed and low-income income and don't own cars. The Skinner Park Advisory Council brings seniors fresh vegetables from their vegetable plots, but some seniors want to be able to grow their own vegetables. Many seniors like me helped to plant and maintain the Tranquil Garden when we were young seniors, but now many of us are now older seniors after volunteering for 10 to 15 years. We're not able to help out as much as before, but we still want to be able to go to Skinner Park to enjoy peace and tranquility, grow our own vegetables, and continue to volunteer and help whenever we can. We want to bring our grandchildren to the park, but it's unsafe with the sidewalks in such bad condition, and we need bathrooms, not just to be ADA accessible, but bathrooms to be open also. We should be able to connect to nature in the Skinner Park Gardens for our mental and physical health, but we need sidewalks and gardens to be accessible. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it back over to May and Brian. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elise. I love you. You know, following May's lead, and I'm going to get to her really quick, the gardens keep building, from the Tranquil Garden to the Community Roots Garden to the Loomis Street Community Garden. By and large, these are maintained by volunteers. May, you can go ahead to the next slide. We spend a lot of time trying to make the best of these gardens, specifically within the park, to bring everyone into bear. And the last slide I'll speak to is just the idea of volunteerism. And while this community has grown, I can't express the positivity that is felt by encouraging volunteerism and how much it means to this community. And we just need to extend it to keep everyone involved that wants to be involved.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks.
Is
I'm
there
gonna
anything else to, oh, May, you'll still keep going.
Thanks.
Perfect.
So I'm going to quickly run through the project itself. So the reason we started this project was because we wanted a holistic approach and a universal design to look at the community as a whole, not just the park. Basically, our project is in 3 areas. It talks about basic infrastructure repairs, the gardens, and the greenhouse. So this slide shows where we have basically sidewalks that flood on one side of the park. You know, it floods for days, it's muddy, people can't transform through it. The other side, the sidewalks that lead to the park, is buckling. And as you can see, it basically covers that whole block. And these buckles are like 6 inches tall. I mean, it's not safe for anybody to walk on, much less seniors. Inside the park, we have holes in the pathways. They're uneven, they're unstable. And the playground itself, you know, has holes all over it, which is not ADA accessible. Our equipment is fine, but the surface area, as like the sidewalks, is an issue. This past summer, you know, our volunteers dug out the internal paths and dug out all the weeds, but the gravel path is still not ADA accessible. We would like for the Tranquil Garden to have pads put in next to the benches that allow for wheelchairs to be there instead of basically having to be on a pathway. The community roots garden, which is actually inside the playground area, we have benches, actually old picnic tables, that block the actual entrance into the garden. And community roots was built with a $20,000 grant that we fundraise for, to build.
May, we might have lost your audio.
Oh, sorry. Is this
We
better?
can hear you now.
Yep.
Okay. So we need accessible beds that basically at a level where seniors can use it comfortably. Most of the beds currently now are about, basically a foot tall. We have infrastructure needs too. The water floods a lot from the water earth spigot, and we just need some concrete padding. And then our field house is basically one of the few old field houses left that's a size D. It's with a park district, and it's not cost effective to basically rehab it. The bathrooms are not ADA accessible. It was built in the 1950s. So what we would like to do is actually have a greenhouse built so that basically the garden classes now that occur outside will have an indoor space in case when it rains. It'll also allow us to grow plants to support the park, the gardens, and also for larger capacity building for, basically all the community gardens across Chicago. So this project will not only help us, but will help other communities as well. The greenhouse location would be basically here. It was on Park District property. It's actually on a green strip that was given for Skinner West Elementary to use. And so they don't have their own playground. And so they use Skinner Park's playground. But they're not using this. And we've talked to the LSC and they actually want us to take this over. And so basically, there's a lot of things that can happen in the greenhouse. You could do garden therapy classes, both Skinner West as well as Wendy Young, have students with special needs. We could provide support for that, and SPAC ourselves can also offer workshops to accommodate a lot of people. As we said, the community roots garden is a teaching garden. The Park District, used the grant money to basically build this so they could teach gardening education. It's also important, I want to stress that we should be teaching our children how important it is, about climate change and how gardening can help. And I want to emphasize the fact that our vision is a universal design garden. It benefits everybody and invites basically everyone from all age groups and all abilities to participate and build community. It's inclusive, equitable, and nurturing. So that's basically our presentation. We can take anybody's questions if they like.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys very much. Yeah,
Sorry,
please post your questions in the Q&A chat now.
As of right now, we don't have any questions, but we'll give people another few minutes. And also, since we're towards the end, if you have any general questions about the Chicago Works Community Challenge, happy to address those now as well. Okay, I think maybe no questions.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate the presentation. We'll send you back into the audience now.
Okay, great.
So again, if you have any questions more generally about the Chicago Works Community Challenge at this point, now would be the time to submit it in the Q&A box. We just want to talk through the next step is that we want your input as part of this final selection process. And the formal way to do that is through a survey, which has already launched and you could find on the Community Challenge website. We could post that link in the chat. The survey will ask you for input on a few different criteria. Two examples are the community activation and if the project will be heavily utilized by the public. We also leave space for you to write additional comments, questions or of support for the various projects. So again, please fill out that survey if you haven't done so yet. You could see Leah just posted the link to the website in the chat where you could find the survey specific to the central region. That was all we had for the presentation. So thank you again to everyone for your time tonight. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at dpd@cityofchicago.org, but otherwise we will be announcing the awarded projects sometime between Thanksgiving and Christmas in December, and we'll keep everyone comprised of that. So again, thank you.
We do actually have a quick question here that we can maybe address right now. Does any of the project include civic engagement or social justice implementation for children or people in general? Adam, you want to start, and then I could add any other color to addressing that question.
Yeah. So in terms of civic engagement, I'm not sure exactly what that's referring to, but all of these are civic properties that are going to hopefully be improved greatly by the funding. In terms of social justice implementation, the issue is that this funding can't be used for any programmatic purposes. So in terms of any sort of social justice classes or programming, that could happen in the space, but it would have to be funded through separate sources rather than the kind of pure infrastructure brick and mortar improvements that we're going to be utilizing this $10 million to implement.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I'll also add that any programming will be done in coordination with the community. We definitely are looking for ongoing community support and ownership over these projects. So if that's something you're interested in, there's certainly opportunities to do so at an improved space if whichever project wins. There is a question on what is the process for choosing which project is awarded. So this webinar will be up on the DPD YouTube channel tomorrow. And at the beginning of the presentation, Adam walked through the selection process and the criteria. So if you have some more detailed questions around that, I would encourage you to go back and take a look. But essentially, there was an evaluation committee that scored each project according to a series of consistent criteria. We also got a lot of expertise from the relevant departments, and we'll have a community survey out to help get a better sense of community feedback. Adam, if there's anything else you want to add.
No, that covered it. Thanks.
I think that's it for questions in the chat and the Q&A box. So thank you.
Okay. Have a good night, everyone. Appreciate it.